It's disappointing that the most recent episode seems to have been thrown together hastily and prepped for next week's ending. In this week's episode of The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart, we learn about the tragic event that ended June's first love and about Twig's healing chat with random bystanders. While Alice is reliving the agony of her former home abuse and beating, she is also beginning her supposedly steady relationship with Dylan. Is she going to take after her pushover mom, or will she break the loop and learn to stand up for herself? What happened in The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart episode 6? Twig has put up a few posters around town asking for help locating her friend Alice. However, Alice saw her doing it and quickly removed them. Alice leaves a message for Twig, explaining that she doesn't want to speak to her or anybody else at Thornfield right now, but that she will call when she's ready. Twig knows that Alice is aware of her situation, yet she continues to try to contact her anyhow. However, Twig's time at Agnes Bluff is cut short when she receives a phone call from Candy informing her that June has deadly sickness. June did not want Twig to feel obligated to return to see her because of her illness. Instead, she hoped that she would do so of her own choice. Unfortunately, Candy's condition worsened to the point that she had to contact Twig for help. With just one episode left, we can only hope that Alice and Twig are able to return home for a much-needed reunion with her grandma. June is being as stubborn as usual back in Thornfield, but she's also having some good times. By being honest with Candy, he has strengthened their connection and revealed unseen sides to their bond. The prescription was first rejected by June, but Candy stood by her side and ultimately persuaded her to change her mind by showing her the impact her acts over the years had had on others in the form of letters of thanks. While June is taking care of her business, she has asked that a letter be sent to Roberta, the woman who inspired her to become Robert Barron. When Candy returns with the letter, she brings the devastating news that Roberta died away 4 years ago. June was hoping to get in touch with her to resolve some issues and get an answer to a burning question. Some guys had stumbled across the two of them while they were alone many years ago. June was not so fortunate and was left behind when Roberta escaped. After that, she stopped talking to Roberta, not because she was upset but because she couldn't bring herself to tell Roberta the truth about what had happened. June's insistence that Clem inherited his father's gloom stemmed from this episode. What he did to Candy just reinforced her suspicions, so she avoided getting too close to him. But it was Twig who came to Thornfield while he was still a youngster and brought some joy and care into their lives, marking the beginning of their connection. The repeating loop of abuse is a concept that has been discussed at length. It imprints itself on the victim, which is why victims might change everything about their life yet still be taken advantage of again. June Hart avoided being taken advantage of by avoiding contact with males, but she nevertheless passed the burden of feeling helpless on to Agnes, who planted the seed of victimhood in Alice Hart. Emotion is the base of all trickery. And that's what Dylan uses to trick Alice the way he does. We were shocked that she did not see what he was doing since she had grown up with women who had been taken advantage of by males. It's one thing to learn about the subtlety of it, and quite another to experience it firsthand. After hearing Dylan use a fairly nasty remark to describe Alice since she was wearing a gorgeous outfit, Alice is unsure as to whether or not the blame lies with her. Perhaps Alice would have seen it as a warning sign and resisted it rather than accepting it if she had more life experience with males. She thought everything was well between them again when Dylan bought her a necklace to apologize for his bad conduct. But in the end, he turned his back on her whenever she tried to get together with her pals. He said it wasn't on purpose, but he clearly communicated to Alice his expectations. All of this was making Alice even more unsure about her feelings for him. But when he finally crossed it and harmed her because he thought she was meeting someone when she was really just out for a stroll by herself, Alice didn't see it coming. To get Alice to commit to be there for him, Dylan damaged her, but he made the whole thing about himself and his own fears and anxieties. He played on women's deep-seated need to be the hero to a hopeless guy. Alice was urged to do Dylan a favor and not set him off, hence, Dylan's violent actions were Alice's fault. Thankfully, the warning bells had already begun to sound in Alice's brain, and when she found herself in the midst of a forest fire, her memories from her childhood were reactivated, and she made the connection between Dylan and her father. She realized the gravity of the issue when she visited Dylan and was met with further beating. Alice collected her guts, smacked Dylan over the head with the table lamp, and then ran out of his home. The most sad aspect of The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart occurred at the ending of Season 6, Episode 6, when Alice had locked herself in her home and Dylan was screaming to be let in. Agnes' idea told Alice that she should allow in Dylan and not irritate him more. The words not angering him more that Agnes had used to protect herself from Clem kept echoing in Alice's head, despite the obvious differences between the two sets of circumstances. As the credits roll, we can only pray that she was successful in silencing her mother. We also pray that she has the strength to hear the message Twig left for her, in which she explains why she must learn some things. To get away from Dylan and get viewpoint on her life, she and Twig must leave Agnes Bluff. We really like this episode, but we've really come to dislike the Lost Flowers of Alice Hart. There should have been more research on this topic overall. There was no need for frightening music or lighting since the topic itself was horrifying enough. Although we haven't read the book, we assume the story is more developed there than in the TV show.